Jerry Reed, the owner of a small South Texas trucking company, said he's fighting to survive against other carriers who continue to misuse Mexico-based B-1 visa drivers to deliver loads point-to-point within the U.S. As FreightWaves reported in March and April 2024 in several news stories, trucking and transportation operators in the U.S. and Mexico have been violating cabotage rules by misusing foreign B-1 visa drivers to deliver loads within the U.S. Cabotage rules prevent foreign nationals in the U.S. on B-1 business visitor visas from competing with U.S. truckers on loads moving point-to-point in the U.S. The regulations are meant to protect driver jobs in the U.S. trucking industry. Reed and other trucking industry stakeholders told FreightWaves that the misuse of Mexico-based B-1 visa drivers creates unjust but significant savings to U.S. carriers that set up outsourced B-1 driver fleets at a lower cost. The trucking company owner said the misuse of B-1 visa drivers has gotten worse since FreightWaves first wrote about it 3 years ago. Even more trucking companies in the U.S. are employing Mexican B-1 visa drivers to undercut trucking rates in the country, while paying Mexico-based drivers less than U.S. truck drivers. He added, "It's definitely evolved over the last several years. Now I'm seeing more U.S. companies open a division in Mexico, then get drivers with B-1 visas and use them as drivers in the U.S." Reed said, "I think that is the next evolution in this. Now you see U.S. companies that have figured out how to get a paper company set up in Mexico. A Mexico-based driver with a B-1 visa can pick up a load in a Mexican city such as Nuevo Laredo, which sits across the border from Laredo, Texas. The B-1 driver then takes that load across the border to Laredo. That's legal. The driver can either head back to Mexico or take another load headed directly back to Nuevo Laredo. Instead of returning to Mexico, however, B-1 drivers are then often hired by companies to pick up new loads and go farther into the U.S., often taking work for less pay, which is illegal." Reed said carriers with divisions in Mexico sometimes put U.S. and Mexican license plates on the vehicles to allow them to put either a U.S. or Mexican driver in the truck. "It's just depressed rates," Reed said. "Look on a load board. You can just punch in South Carolina to Texas or Georgia to Texas. You're looking at 90 cents to $1 a mile. And these are the guys that are using B-1 visa guys. They price it that way because who else is going to do it at that rate? The B-1 guy goes out to Georgia and back on the cheap, but the carrier that's in Atlanta, for example, doesn't understand why rates are really low going to Texas. This is the reason why. Because these trucking companies will take whatever they can to get back here because they have to. It's artificially blowing the rate model for everyone else that maybe doesn't really understand why.